So if she knows what it's about.
How is that?
I don't really know. It looks and feels new.
So was it, is there area, was it forest before or?
Okay, today we're going to start from Abaya Amar. It's on 31b. Abaya says, going back to explain a machlekes Beishamai and Beis Hillel about someone that made a statement. I didn't say, thank Hashem that we're able to learn.
Amen.
Learn Torah every day. And it's chus of our learning, we should have the Beis Hamikdash immediately. Okay, so we're explaining the machlekes. If someone says that the ox, the black ox that comes out of my house first should be hektish, so Beishamai, and then a white ox went out. The Beishamai says that it becomes hektish, and Beis Hillel says it doesn't. So we had an explanation before from Rav Papa that he says that it doesn't mean that the white ox becomes hektish. He meant that the black ox that's going to come out later becomes hektish. Now Abaya says that's not what it means. He actually means that the white ox is going to be hektish, but you have to adjust something over here. Abaya says, like kasal kadaitach the kohen b'tzafra, al-hachamay and the kohen b'tira. V'amar shosh shachar shetzim beis rishon heavy hektish. V'amar lei lavanafik. I'll explain in a moment. V'amar lahayin yavi yadanid lavanafik le'amri shachar. See, the reason why we were having difficulty with this, Abaya says, is because we were thinking that he was making a prediction. The ox that's going to come out is going to be a black one. And turns out that he was wrong. The ox that came out first was not a black one, it was a white one. So because he was trying to make a prediction, so we know he was trying to say that exactly what I'm saying is what's going to happen. And since it was not exactly the way he said, so then that's probably not what he meant. So Abaya says, but that's not really the story. He wasn't making a prediction. We're talking about where he was sitting in his house and the animals went out to graze in the morning. And in the afternoon, he says, I heard that the animals walking out, I heard that the first one that went out, from the sound of the footsteps of the it's not galloping on an ox, but whatever it is, the trampling. I heard that it was the black one that went out first. It should be hektish. Now it turned out that he made a mistake. He didn't hear it correctly, and it was really a white one. So there, it's not that he was specific about which one went out first. That's what he thought, and it was an innocent mistake. He thought he heard wrong. So, but what he wanted to say was that one of them should be hektish. So therefore, the one that went out first is hektish. He thought it was a black one, but he misheard it. So that was an innocent mistake. It wasn't that he was being specific about the color. He was just making an innocent mistake, which one he thought was first. I thought that one went out first because while I was in the house and I heard them trampling, I heard that it was that one. So what's switching over here is how specific he was when he said the black one. So if he's making a prediction, then he was very specific about it. Yeah, I'm telling you that the one that's going to go out first is going to be the black one, should be hektish. He was wrong. It wasn't the black. It wasn't. So he wanted it to be the black one, and it turned out it wasn't the black one. So we would say that nothing's hektish. But over here, that's not what we're talking about. Here we're talking about where he said, I think it was the black one that went out first. It should be hektish. Really, he meant to say whichever one was first is hektish. Hopefully it was the black one. Hopefully he's right. But if he made a mistake, it doesn't mind. It will be the white one. That's the way Abaya explains it. Want to see it again inside? He says, don't think that he's standing in the morning and then add in the words, and making a prediction of what's going to happen because the animals would leave in the morning. They would go out to graze. He's talking about it. It's already in the afternoon. Is that how we translate tira? In the afternoon. It's already the afternoon. Tira sounds like in the bright light. It's in the afternoon. And what he says is that the one that went out earlier this morning, which was the black one that went out first, that should be hektish. And they tell him, love enough, it wasn't a black one, it was a white one. You weren't there, you weren't inside. And then he says to them, the love enough, if I would have known that it was the white one, I wouldn't have said black. I thought it was black because that's what it sounded like when I was inside the house. That's the way the commentaries explain this. He really meant the first one, and he was taking a guess that it was the black one based on what he heard. Okay. Mine has a little bit of a problem with this, but we can adjust it. It says, are you really able to say that we're dealing with he's standing in the afternoon and he's saying what happened earlier? Baktani dinar shalzav shayala. Well, I think the grammar question here is, see, the prefix yud on a verb in Hebrew usually is a third person future. Right? He will. Problem is sometimes the root of the word also has a yud. So what do you do then? Well, it would be, let's say the word sheyatza. Sheyatza means that went out, but sheyetze means that will go out. So the vowels would change. Anyway, from this case itself, it seems to be a little bit ambiguous. Doesn't mean that will go out or went out. But in the following cases, it says sheyala biyadi rishon, that will come up. The coin that will come up in my hand first, the gold coin that will come up in my hand first should be hektish. Obviously, he's not talking about that the coin that came up. In the symmetry of the Mishnah, that we have a case of an ox, a case of a coin, and a case of a barrel of wine. It turns out that it was oil. So all of those would seem that they would all be the same type of case. But the second and third case are very clear that it's future, that will come up. The first case where Abai is telling me, well, we're standing in the afternoon and he's talking about the past. So the Gemara is asking, how could you say that it's talking about the past? It says the gold coin that will come up in my hands should be hektish. So the Gemara is Tanisha Allah. Drop that yud prefix, the prefix yud that makes it a future tense. And just read it, Sha'Allah, that came up. Comes a past tense. For the coin. That's what we do for the coin. The Gemara seems that it was ambiguous about not the barrel, about the ox. And so it's not really asking, how could you say that the ox is this, but the Mishnah says different? It's jumping to the second and third case. It knows that the case of the ox could go either way. Chavet shel yayin shetala. What about the barrel of wine that will come up? Here it's a prefix tough. That could also be, that's a third person feminine, right? Chavet shel yayin shetala, the barrel of wine that will come up. Tani should also switch it, say that it came up. Past tense, from future to past. Okay, the Gemara is fine with adjusting the Mishnah. Okay, Amar Rav Chisda, now we have a new statement. Rav Chisda says, Uchma b'chivra lakia. If you have a bunch of white oxen and you're selling them, and amongst them is one black one, the price goes down. It ruins the whole bunch. Yeah.
I don't understand why the Gemara didn't bring up the story at this point of Yiftach and his daughter.
Yeah.
And say, hey, he never suspected it would be his daughter. I mean, it's a perfect spot.
Right. Right,
Better with bull.
right. I was expecting it to come up also,
Me too.
but maybe it's coming up shortly. I don't know. Okay,
You talking
Okay, good
referring to
question.
Something that's coming up in the next document?
What?
What are you referring to?
He's
Something
asking-
that's coming up?
No, I'm wondering, the Gemara at this point, talking about, oh, but the guy really meant this, that. Yiftach saying the first person that comes in, and when he comes home, never expected it was gonna be his daughter, who he ended up having to, deal with. He was
Is that
probably-
coming up?
No,
Stand up
I'm
and-
talking about he probably thought it. I'm surprised the Gemara didn't bring it. I have no idea what's coming up. I didn't read the Gemara.
We're waiting for G. Brayback all these years.
Well, A plus entrance.
Walks on stage. talking
I
about
listened
it.
to you.
Okay,
Actually, I want you to know, I listened to you share, visually seeing you. You was giving the share in front of the coffee station, the Baptist hospital. And I said, oh boy, Baptist, come on, you see with this beard. What's going on? Excuse me, you Jewish?
okay. So Rav Chisda says that a black ox amongst white oxen is a problem, will lower the price. So, and then he adds in, he says, "Chivra b'uch malakya." And if you have a white ox, no, I'm sorry, if you have a black ox that has white spots on it, that's also a problem. So basically, a black ox is worth less than a white ox. Huh? You'll see soon. And then white spots on a black ox is also a problem. Okay. Tanan, we are going to have some questions on Rav Chisda. We have a Mishnah that says, Shachar sheyatza mi beisi rishon. I guess you have to add in Shar Shachar probably. Yeah. Shar Shachar sheyatza mi beisi rishon, I guess, according to Abaya. The black ox that went out of my house first should be hektish. The Bach takes out the words kasel kadaita. He makdish, v'ayin ra makdish. Why do you say the black ox? Because when people give a donation, they don't give their best. They someone's getting new furniture. So they call up the shul, they say, I have an old couch. Anyone, they don't give the new couch to the shul, they give the old couch to the shul. You know, that's how it works. The person, when he's marked or something, he gives the lesser quality, not the best quality. So when he's marked this, he says, you know, I have a black ox, I'm going to give it to Hector. That it's worse. That's what we're thinking over here. Rav Chisda says black is worse. Yeah, you're supposed to give the best, but we're thinking that what would be in his mind, that's what you're supposed to do. But what's in his mind is probably what would come naturally to him is that it would be giving the inferior.
We're going to explain why color makes a difference.
It's not going to explain that because that's just something that the farmers know. Like, you know, why do red cars drive faster than?
The heat difference or the strong-
We'll go through that. We'll go through. That is good.
Why do red cars drive fast?
I don't know.
I think it should just know this.
Vegas is the kind of cow.
But
No,
a
they get
red
pulled
light
over.
that
They
you're
pulled
scared
over.
of. This is the real
No,
issue.
it has to do with people that buy red cars.
Well, not that.
It would drive faster.
That's funny.
Oh. Mhm. Well, love one keeps switching. So, so the problem here is you have to follow this, follow the logic. There's a nuance. No, the black is worse. Black is worse, and therefore, at least according to Rav Chisda, black is worse. And what he's saying is like this. He has now that we have a question on Rav Chisda, the fellow says that the black ox that comes out of my house first should be hektish. Why would he say that? Because he wants to give the inferior one. Okay, turns out that the white one went out first. V'amri Beis Shammai havi hektish. And Beis Shammai says that it's hektish. Now this is a big problem because if he only wants to give the inferior, so he really had no intention for the better one, for the superior one. So why would we say that Beis Shammai says that it actually works? He clearly didn't want to give the best one, right? Wants to give us the new couch that he got to the one that he used already. Clearly he doesn't want to give the new one. So why are you saying over here that he wants to give the white one? It was just a mistake. He wants to give. He had intention that it's clearly not the white one because he wants to give the. That's why he said the black. Kasha. Unless we could say maybe differently. Elamai, what do you want to say? Bayin Yafamakdish. It's actually the opposite. He really would like to give the better one. He thought that was going to be the first one was going to be the black one, so he was going to give the first one. But he really would normally like to give the better one. So he really wants to give the white one. So that's why we would say that the white one becomes hektish. We could switch it. In other words, now we've just changed our whole view on human nature. Just switched it around. That people are much better, much more generous. They would really like to give their very best to the Beis Hamikdash. That's why the white one is going to be hektish. 1 second, I'm going to ask a question on this. So if you read the next case of the Mishnah, it says Dinar Shel Zav Sheyala B'Yadi Rishon V'La Kesef B'Shamim Hektish. Someone says the gold coin that comes up first is going to be hektish. Turned out which coin came up was a silver coin. It says that it's hektish. Now, if you're going to say that person wants to give the better one, so he clearly had no intention for the silver one. So why are you saying that it should be hektish? It wasn't just an innocent mistake. He has a definitiveness that he wants to give the better one, and that wasn't it. Elamai, what are you going to say by in Ramakdish? That really he wants to give the inferior one. So Chavish Shel Yayin Shetala B'Yadi Rishon V'Ola Shel Shemen. What about the third case of the Mishnah? He says the barrel of wine that comes to my hand first is going to be hektish. Turns out he opens it up, it was really oil. So Bishami Am hektish. Bishami says that it's hektish. Now the problem is Vashemen Adif Miyayin. Oil is more expensive than wine. And turns out that Bishami says that it's hektish. So obviously the person wants to give the superior one to the Beis Hamikdash, not the inferior one. So we're going back and forth over here. It's so confusing what's happening.
We had learned previously, a couple weeks ago, that someone had the, I think we learned it, someone had the intent to do a mitzvah. All right, you already get the credit for doing the mitzvah. So if someone had the intent for Article 8 to be hektish, it appears that already is going to be hektish. Whether or not A actually is going to be A or A turns out to be B, no.
What you're referring to is that the person would get a reward as if, not that it actually happened. Yeah, and if you would follow your logic, walking around the street thinking which woman he's going to marry, they would all be married.
Yeah, not necessarily to him.
Right. No, it has to do with the schar. When a person intends to do something positive, so it's considered like the intention. It gets the schus. That's what he wanted to do. The Gemara says regarding the wine and the oil, we have a way of resolving that. It goes like this: Imishimha like kasha. This is not a problem. Why? We're talking about in the Galilee, where in the Galilee they grow the olive groves are there. So much oil. So over there, the olive oil is not expensive. It's the wine that's expensive. They grow grapes there too, but apparently the grapes are the wine would be more expensive than the oil in that. So yeah, we can figure that out. He says that the first barrel of wine that comes into my hands first should be hektish. It turns out that it was the oil. You say that it's hektish. That's because the oil is the inferior. Is the cheaper one. And that's why it's hektish. So it fits with human nature that you like to give. Problem is, Reisha Kashaler of Chizna. What about the first case when it comes to an ox, where a person wants to give the inferior one, and it turns out that it was the white one, and we said that it's hektish. Apparently, the white one is worse than the black one. in order for this to be consistent. Amalach Rav Chisda said, Rav Chisda would say to you, Ki Amri Betura de Karmenoi. I don't know anything about Karmenoi, but apparently over there, the black ox is worse, but normally Persian province. You have a pencil with an eraser. So the Karmenoi black ox is going to be worse than the white one. But normally, but in other cases, the white one is worse.
In the back of this book,
What does it say?
just not relevant to these colors, it says a shore that's black is good for its skin.
Oh, wait, that's coming up now. That's the next
Coming
thing.
up?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh. I'm getting tired of it.
V'amar Rav Chisda. V'amar Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda adds in. Uchma, a black ox. Lamashche is good for its skin. Sumka, if it's a red ox. Lebische, it's good for its meat. And Chivra, a white ox, Laradi is good for plowing. Yeah. Gemara says, 1 second. What do you mean that the black ox is good? V'amar Rav Chisda, I'm sorry, that the what do you mean that it's good? V'amar Rav Chisda, uchma b'chivra lakia. If you have a black ox amongst white oxen, the price goes down. If you're buying the whole bunch. Yeah, there's some blemish in this. Okay, Kiamri Betura the Karmenoi. When did Rav Chisda say that? That was talking about the oxen of Karmenoi, where over there the black one is worse. Normally the black one is better. Or at least it has the benefit of that the skin of the black one is better. If you want to make leather or something, that would be better. Okay. Now we have a new Mishnah. Very interesting what's happening. Mishnah Nadar ben Nazir. Someone took a vow to be a Nazir. V'nishal l'chacham. He goes and he asks the Chacham. Now, what happened in this case, it's leaving out a little detail here, is that the person didn't keep the Naziris properly. He was drinking wine. He wasn't keeping it. He wants to get it annulled. So, Maina Mishashan, Ba'asru, the Chacham says, I'm not annulling it. Maina Mishashanada, which means he has to keep it. So he has to count, he counts, he can include the days that he didn't keep it. Now, we're not talking about where he became Tameh, because he would have to start over. But he said, I'm going to be a Nazir for 30 days. After 10 days, he says, this is too hard for me, and he drinks wine. Just to feel guilty, he says, let me go annul the vow. He goes back to annul it. The Chacham says, I'm not annulling it. Nothing changed. You just lost either. You just no discipline. So now he has to keep the Naziris. He thought he could get rid of this. So does he have to keep any extra time? So it turns out that what we're saying here is that he doesn't have, he doesn't have to keep anything extra. What he did was good. Yeah.
So he doesn't have to do it. Start starting from zero.
No, it doesn't start over. He 20 days ago he took the Naziris. 10 of them he didn't keep, but that's fine. He has to just keep another 10, and it's all good. We'll see in the Gemara that this may not be exactly what they mean, but that's what it says right now. Okay, now we go to cases which we mentioned in the past. Let's say he asked the Chacham, I want to get rid of this nether. And the Chacham says, okay, he takes it off. So let's say he had an animal that was designated because it was annulled, it becomes a total mistake that he even designated it at all. And he lets the animal go out to pasture just like a regular mundane animal. But we were talking about before when there was a problem that was talking about when the husband annulled it. Because over there, the husband doesn't take it off from the beginning. But the Chacham that takes off another from the beginning retroactively, So then it's considered that nothing ever happened there. Amr Beisil Beishamai. Now Beisil comments to Beishamai, and this we mentioned, I think, yesterday. Yet the Maidim Bezeshu Hektish Tos, don't you see? This is Hektish Tos, a mistaken Hektish, and you see that it's not considered Hektish. The animal, he made a mistake when he designated this. He thought he was going to be a Nazir. Went to the Chacham takes it off. We say that it goes in its pastures in the barn. That means that Hektish Tos, mistaken Hektish, is not Hektish, contrary to what you hold. Where do we see Beishamai held differently? Well, in the last case, we said that last Mishnah, that if someone says the black ox that comes out of my barn first should be Hektish, we said that, and the white one comes out, Beishamai says that it's Hektish. See, it was a mistake, and it's Hektish. But look over here. If it's a mistake, we see that it's not Hektish. He still has a proof against Beishamai. Well, yeah, but what we're saying is the Naziris was uprooted. And once it's uprooted, we say that, well, the Hektish that he made was a mistake. Well, he didn't uproot the Hektish, he uprooted the Naziris. But based on that, we say that it was the Hektish was a mistake. Here also, say that his statement was a mistake. Why are you saying that it's going to work? There is a difference. We'll see. Amlan Beishamai responds, when we quoted this before, so in Rav Papa, so Beishamai responds that that's not what we meant. We didn't mean that Hektish Tos is Hektish. What we really meant was to say that the black one that comes out later should be Hektish. Right? That's how we got out of it before. Yeah. But anyway, Amalem Beishamai says, don't you agree, Beisilon? Let's say someone makes a mistake, he's taking his miser. Miser, the way the miser behema works is that the animals walk through a little hole in the fence, and they go through and he 1, 2, 3, when he gets to 10, he taps it and it becomes miser. That's miser. He designates it as miser with that like tap. He pronounces 10. Let's say the Beishamai says to Beisil, the Mishata, someone that made a mistake, the Karlit Shi Asiri. He counted the 9th one. He said he called it the 10th one. Right. You know, there's 3 types of people: those that know how to count and those that don't.
Those that don't count.
Okay, so here it went through. He calls the 9th one. He says 10. It's a mistake. Lasiri, the 10th one, he calls it 9. Chi calls it 9. Allah Aser. Thank you. And the 11th one, he calls it 10. Or that all of those cases, Shuma Kudish, that it's consecrated, that it works, that it becomes Hektish. Meiser it becomes a carbon. Meiser Behema becomes a carbon. So Beishamai has a proof to Beisilal. Don't you see that you can make something Hektish by mistake? He called 9, he called 10, he calls 11, they're all Hektish. They're all carbonas. Amla Beisilal responds, well, yeah, shave it, Kitshu. This wasn't just because of his stick that made it Hektish. According to you, if you would put the stick on the 8th one or on the 12th one, you think it would also be Hektish? It's not. Elakasov Shekidish Asiri who Kiddish Chi Besachadasar. The same pasuk that says that the 10th one is Hektish. That's the pasuk. That's the Torah that says that if you make a mistake, it's also Hektish. In other words, I need a clear verse that tells me that a mistake about Meiser becomes Hektish. Normally, it's not like this, but this is the pasuk that's telling me that it becomes Hektish if you make that mistake. Yeah. Right. But then it goes in to say that it's Hashem that makes it Hektish, but it's based through the Torah. But through the Torah saying that, okay. The Gemara starts off with a question on the beginning of our Mishnah. Yeah. The basis of it is, could be that he designated the wrong one. Could be he just wants to improve it. Or could be he said, I didn't really want to give that one. Let me give something different. And you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. Right. 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 But it doesn't mean that his original designation was a mistake. What he's saying is, what he originally designated, he rethought it. And now it's a difference when he's like an Indian giver, right? Versus, should I not say that?
Not politically correct.
Sorry, we're talking about we already got BLM all over.
Okay. So,
That's not correct.
so Mani Masnisin. Okay, the Gemara says now, who's the author of our Mishnah? Later Rab Yaisi, later Rabbanan. How did that even come about, Indian giver? How did that expression come about? What's the basis of that?
I think it was that they didn't. Yeah, like it was the same concept.
Oh. Uh-huh. It was landing. That's how they looked at it. Uh-huh. Okay. Mani Masnisin, who's the author of our Mishnah? Lei Rab Yaisi v'lei Rabbanan. It wasn't Rab Yaisi, and it's not the Rabbanan. We're going to see. We didn't say Rab Yaisi and the Rabbanan yet, but we're going to quote them now, and you'll see that the Mishnah doesn't fit perfectly with them. Then the Gemara is going to say that, don't worry, it could fit with either of them if you adjust it a little bit. And okay, let's see. The Tani was taught in a brisa. Misha Nadar, someone that took a vow, va'avar Nazirus, and he violated it. He took a vow that he's going to be a Nazir, and then he violates it. He drinks wine instead. You know, all those that quit last year will quit again this year. You know, it's hard to keep all of the achlatas, the resolutions. So he said, I'm not going to drink wine. I'm going to be a Nazir. He didn't keep it. So Einis Kakanlai, you don't annul the vow for him. Elim King Mainabem Isser. You have to tack on to the top of in front of his Nazirus, all the days. How many days did you violate it? You violated it for 10 days. Okay, so now instead of 30-day Nazirus, now you have a 40-day Nazirus. That's what the first opinion the sages say. Goes against what we just said.
Yeah.
That's the Gemara's question. It doesn't fit with the sages, with the Rabbanan. Rabbi Yasi says it's enough 30 days. Now, there's a bunch of commentaries here. What does Rabbi Yasi mean? It's enough 30 days. One of the commentaries goes like this, that it's only if he violated it for 30 days will we say that he has to count those 30 days. But if he just violated it for 10 days, then we'll let it pass. But if he has a long Nazirus, like 100 days, and 30 days he violates it, then we would have to add on more. Now that's one of the pshat. Another pshat is that if it's a long Nazirus, then if there's 30 days left of it, we would say that those 30 days count. Whatever the case is, it's talking about that. It's a longer Nazirus, and according to Rabbi Yasi, it's possible that 30 days will count, or if he violates it for 30 days, he has to add on.
If it's 100 days and they violated, like when they had 90 days, they would have 30 days.
That was when he became impure. There was an opinion that said, who was that opinion that said that you only have to do 30? It was Rabbi Eliezer that said you only have to do an extra 30 if he became impure. Here we're talking about that he drank wine. The Gemara says, Irabanan, if you say it's the opinion of the rabbis here, the sages, that they say they have to tack on the end the extra days that he violated it. Kasha Nazirus Moetas. It's a kasha, even if it's a small Nazirus, a 30-day Nazirus, but now it has to be 35 to 40 days, however many days he violated. I'm adding in the word even if it's a small one, because it's not specifically a small one, it's even if it's a small one. And if you want to say it's Rabbi Yasi, Kasha Nazirus Meruba. doesn't fit with the Nazirus Meruba, where Rabbi Yossi says that if it's a long Nazirus and he violates it for an extended amount of time, that he does have to add on more. Well, the Gemara says, Ibayas Ema. Usually it's Ibayas Ema here. It's Ibayas Tema. If you want, you could say Rabbi Yossi. Ibayas Tema Rabbanan. If you want, you could say that it's the Rabbanan. Ibayas Tema Rabbi Yossi. You could say it's Rabbi Yossi. Kan ben Nazirus Meruba, kan ben Nazirus Muatas. Easy answer. He's talking about where it was a long Nazirus. Here we're talking about it's only a 30-day Nazirus. So because he violates it for less time, so it's not a problem. Yeah, I'm avoiding the complications here. I just said the easy pshat. Ibayisema Rabbanan. If you want, you can say it's the Rabbanan. Leitema mishash nazar elaima kimishash nazar. If you want, you could say that the Mishnah is really the Rabbanan. When we said in the Mishnah that he counts from the time that he vowed, what it really means is that he counts like the time that he vowed, which means that he has to recount, add in, fill in the days that he violated it at the end, and he really has to count 40 days in this case. So we adjusted the Mishnah that to say that it's to fit with the Brisa, according to this. That it's not just that he can keep 30 days from when he took the vow. He has to actually add on. It's like the time that he vowed, and he has to keep it like that. If they asked the sages and it became annulled, Amar Rabbi Yirmi says, "Mida Beishamai Nishmal at Beis Hillel." From Beis Shammai we can understand a halacha for Beis Hillel. What the Gemara is about to say is that, according to Beis Shammai, that holds hektish tos is hektish. But if it gets annulled, it goes out and it can pasture in the barn, and together with all the mundane animals. Even though if it would be a mistake, it would be a problem. But because when it gets annulled, this is different. It's more like the way you said. When it gets it here, he's like annulling the whole thing. It goes when it's a real annulment. It goes out and pastures in the barn. So the Gemara is going to say now, according to Beis Hillel, if someone does tmura, he says he makes an animal kaidesh. Then he takes another animal. He says that this should be in exchange for that. That the second one also becomes kaidesh, a shlamim or an ayla or whatever. If someone then goes and annuls the first one, the second one should also go out. From Beis Shammai, I'm now going to understand that Beis Hillel would agree to this as well, or that everyone would agree that the tmura would become not sanctified if you annul the first one. Doesn't Beis Shammai say that normally a mistake is hektish, but given the glowing milsa the lav shaper nasa teitz of it, but since it becomes obvious that it wasn't a good nazirus because he annuls it, so it goes out and pastures in the barn. So we can say according to Beis Hillel, afagav dami tmura betos havi tmura. Someone makes a mistake by tmura, we hold that it's still tmura, but nevertheless, that's only when the first sacrifice is still there. But if he goes and he annuls the first one, then we would also annul the tmura as well. And everything would follow. Tmura was the exchange. When he exchanged, this should be a shlamim in place of that. He made a mistake. He says this should be an ayla in place of that. So then we say that it actually becomes. So even though it's a mistake, you're not allowed to. No, you're not allowed to, but it still becomes consecrated. That was the rule. I'll go to the Mishnah. Let's see. Amar Mariyat Maidim Shilakar Asiri. Don't you agree that if you call the ninth one, you call it number 10, that it becomes Meiser? Itmar, we have a statement like this. Meiser, when it comes to Meiser. Rav Nachman Amar Tu'usay V'lei Kavanasay. Rav Nachman says that if you call the ninth one the 10th one, that only becomes Meiser if you did it by mistake. But if you do it on purpose and you just say, you know it's the ninth one, and you say 10, it's not going to become Kodesh. Rav Chizda v'Rabba bar Rav Huna Amri Tu'usay V'kolskin Kavanasay. If you make a mistake and you call it 10, it becomes Kodesh. For sure, if you on purpose call the ninth one 10, for sure it becomes Kodesh. Amalei Rav Rav Nachman. According to Rav says to Rav Nachman, according to you that it can only be a mistake the Kamri Beishamay LeBeisillel Yat the Maidim Shil Karl She Lachras Asi Shlosh Mikadosh and Vishtik Beisillel. Why was Beisillel quiet? Beishamay had a question on them. Beishamay says, you see, it becomes Kaidish even by mistake. Beisillel could have said, Lamer Lahain. Beisillel could have responded, Malam Isish Kina in a Kaddish Bekavana.
But it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. He changed his mind and said, this ninth one is Kodesh. What you said, isn't that what you just said? He changed his mind. He said, no, this one's Kodesh. It happened to be number 8.
If it's number 8, it's not Kaidish. If it's number 9, then, and he says 10, it becomes Kaidish.
I thought you said he changed his mind.
No, not he changed his mind. That's by Tmura, he changed his mind. He says, I want the other one. Over here, he's saying, so he's saying that if it's a mistake, he miscounted, we say that it's going to be Kaidish. Why doesn't Beisillel say that if this is your question on Hektish, let me tell you that when it comes to Hektish, you need to have kavana. You need to have intent. And when it comes to Meiser, if you do it with intent, it doesn't work. So according to Rav Nachman, it says if you do it with intent, if you call it the 10th one with intent, it doesn't work. So Beisillel has an easy response to Beis Shammai that said, well, that's the difference. Because by Hektish, you do need to have intent in order for it to work. And by Meiser, if you have intent, it doesn't work. Amr Rav Sim Barashi, Hainu Taima, Rav Sim Barashi says, you know what the reason is? The Lay Amri line, that they didn't answer that. The Kal V'chaimer, because it should be just the opposite. My Meiser Sheina Kaddish B'Kavana, but Kaddish B'Tos, if you do it with intent, it doesn't work. But if you do it by mistake, it does work. Hektish, a Kaddish B'Kavana. Hektish, if you do it with intent, it does become Hektish. So like Koshkin, is it not a Kal V'chaimer that if you do it by mistake, that it should be Kaidesh? Gemara says V'laihi, the Hektish B'daita the Maritali. Gemara says that it's not a Kal V'chaimer because Hektish really is only dependent on the intent of the person that's doing it. You can't bring a Kal V'chaimer that it's because by Meiser it works by mistake, by Hektish it should also. For sure, by Hektish it should. We say no. Hektish needs the intent of the owner.
If that's the case, throughout this, and this is what I haven't understood for 2 days now. If that's the case, why
Thank you. Have a good day.
Look at
instead
that.
of the rabbi saying